In the US, we're firing about 1.6 million people on any given month since 2024. So check out this stat right here, and we're actually letting go about 1.6 million people every month. Now you're looking at like, well, how many people are employed? So I got those numbers also, and that's right here. So we're letting go about 1% of the workforce every month. Is that a problem? Kinda. And today we're going to talk about why. So this is going to be a little bit of a longer video because it's a more complex problem than just as it seems, right? Like always. So when you're looking at who's getting let go, there's been huge tech layoffs, right? And when you're looking at 1.5, 1.6, 1.6, 1.5, 1.6 million jobs are being let go. The question comes, who are these jobs, right? And they're across all sectors, right? But what's really made the news is tech jobs. So now I'm wondering, why are tech jobs why did that make the news and not these other ones? Well, when we look at what the middle class is defined as, and this is just a Google search, I didn't really go that much into the numbers, but in order to be in the middle class, you need to make between 43,000 and 130. And most like tech jobs is like $100,000 plus, right? So you're right above that threshold of, like middle class and upper middle class, right? And, before you become really wealthy, and then it doesn't really matter, right? But when you're making $100,000, you're really stimulating the economy in multiple different ways. And people don't necessarily always think of it like that because they say, oh, they get stocks and, they invest their money to do that. Most people at $100,000, even in my comment section, basically live paycheck to paycheck depending on what area you live in, right? So, and now you're like, what do you mean? Well, people spend money on daycare. People spend money on getting a coffee on the go. People spend, money on maintenance on their car. They spend it on rent. They spend at the grocery store, right? So there's a few items in life that you need regardless of, status, right? You need to buy groceries. That's a given, right? There's not really much you can do besides stealing them, right? You still got to pay the price. And most people probably aren't going to steal the groceries, right? That spend money at the grocery store, that's a given, right? But what's also crazy is when you have people that spend money on daycare, they spend money at the coffee shop, they spend money going to work, they spend money at the gas station, tires, they spend money at Costco, and they do, they live their life. They spend money on gardening, on plants, pot, flowers, and all these other things, just because, you have hobbies too. And now, this is when you're going to come in, and this is a question for you. What do you think is easiest to save the money in? What do you think is so easy to save money in the middle class if you're going to be let go? If you don't have severance, what are you going to cut out of your life first that is the least impact on your life? So what do I mean by that is, so for me, for example, when when me and Ali would go through hard times, eating out is not a necessity. It's more like a luxury, right? So we can go to Trader Joe's and cut food prices down, and we just wouldn't go out eating. And we would probably cancel memberships and, subscriptions, right? Those are like the first few things to go. So when you have things like that would go, like subscriptions, like, restaurants and all that, that is going to hurt people in the restaurant industry. That's going to hurt people in the, in the tech sector, right? And then all of a sudden you're like, hey, can I password share with you? And then it's going to open up a whole nother can of worms, right? So what do you think you're going to cut out first when you're going to have no job? So I'm going to do a poll and ask what you're going to cut out first. Because entertainment, you got to do something, right? But is entertainment something you're really going to cut out? And this is what I'm not sure about. Because I don't think you can just cut out entertainment. Because that's kind of gets you the mind off of things. And paying, $17 a month on YouTube Premium isn't what's going to hurt you in the long run, right? So are these now necessities or luxuries? And, having TV and internet, you kind of need those. So what are some unnecessary expenses that you can cut out that will have a huge ripple effect on you not spending money there, right? So super curious to know because there's so many of them that I can't list them all. But I'm thinking it's going to be like restaurants, it's going to be like amusement park, it's going to be theaters, concerts, tickets for, shows, and, going out to nightclubs, going out to bars, and stuff like that, because it doesn't really enrich your life that much if you just cut them out, right? So now, all these people have been laid off, and these tech people have the hardest time of getting another job, right? If you look at these layoffs, right, and you're thinking like, hey, screw these tech people, they're going to actually cause you problems down the road because the money's going to not circulate. Helps with inflation, but that's pretty much the only positive thing, right? And now you're like, well, there's a bunch of other jobs that are impacted. And I would say, yes, a bunch of other jobs are impacted, but some of them are more of, I need to phrase this right so people don't get pissed at me in the comments, are that you can get trained at the job. Let me say it that way, right? So if you want to enter the workforce as a server or as a bartender, you take a little course, a bartending course, and then you can kind of go out and do it. And for these tech people, it's mostly you need a master's, a bachelor's degree in engineering, and it takes a whole bunch of time to get started. And then it takes you 6 to 8 months now to find another job. But if you're being let go at a grocery store or at a fast food joint, you can find a job fairly easy, fairly quick, because it's just easier to do that than sending out 6 to 9 months to wait to get in one of these places. But even with that, I could be completely wrong. So let me know in the comments if you think that is true or what the time frame is. Because I only know from Allie's experience, and she helps like people find tech jobs. And so in her community that I'm also part of is, that we're helping, or she's helping people find jobs. And that's kind of what we're seeing. It takes about 6 months for them to find a job. So get that. But how long does it take somebody in the server industry, in the retail industry, to find a job? Probably way, way less because they're not that competitive. So what do I mean by competitive? I'm talking about the salary isn't that high that you're going to get 1,000 applications in 5 minutes like on LinkedIn. So when you look on LinkedIn and they have that easy apply button, you should 100% click on it and see what happens because there's hundreds of applications and some say and then they say, 90% wasn't qualified. So it shouldn't really worry you, but it's just like it gets 1,000 applications in no time. So if you are right now watching this and you haven't connected with me on LinkedIn, go to LinkedIn and connect with me. I'm trying to post more. Go there and let's connect. And yeah, so back to the easy apply button, right? So you see these people where they have insane amount of applications in no time, right? Because they're 6-figure salaries, they got benefits and all that, so they get a bunch of applications. So when you have all these people applying, you can pick who you want, right? And so when you have 1,000 applicants, you probably pick like 10 or 20 you give phone calls to, like 5 or 6 you invite to other rounds of interviews, and then 3 of them move on to like the final round, and then the team kind of decides which one they like best, right? And then the whole salary thing comes into question. What do they want for salaries? And right now, the salaries are competitive. I've seen multiple people in the comments that actually said that they've taken a 20% pay cut to just keep working and providing for their families. And so inflation wasn't 20%. Some say, yeah, I think it probably was probably 10% or something. But taking a 20% cut, and it's just crazy. And I know that other people did a similar thing just because they had to keep food on the table, right? So it is pretty crazy. And the kicker of it is just because you got laid off and you found a new job doesn't mean that in the second part of 2024, there's not going to be another round of layoff and you're going to get laid off again. Because I only know this from Switzerland, and I don't know about this in the United States, but they said first one in, first one out, right? So if you were the last one, no, was the first, yeah, the last one that was in is the first one out. That's how you say it. So the last person that joined the team is also the person that is going to be let go first. You know, like if there's not somebody that's going to retire soon and they kind of make him like a retirement package, if they're all like, you know, in their 30s, 40s, and 50s, the person that joined the team last is going to be the first one to leave because that guy still knows how to apply and he still, you know, you still know it's in the rhythm, they say, right? So then they let that people go first. So it is crazy what you see with all these people. And now with 1.6 million people applying, you know, that are going to have to find a new solution is pretty crazy because not everybody can just turn on the job search market and find another job in no time. It takes time. It is not easy to just get laid off, find another job in no time, and just do it. And I heard, and somebody in the comments brought up a good point and said, you know, if you're getting laid off, that's not vacation. You should work 8 hours a day of sending out applications. And I would agree with that. But this is not the case because when you're being let go and you're being fired, there's stuff at works that is not, you know, that isn't like that easy, you know, like black and white, night and day, because you're dealing with mental health stuff that is super detrimental. And people that say, oh, I don't care about, you know, being fired, you know, those people are talking a bunch of BS. Because if you get fired via UPS label or FedEx label, that is demoralizing. And if you're working for like Intuit and they classify you as underperforming for these 1,000 people that got laid off, that is also detrimental. And you cannot tell me that that isn't going to leave scars. And then we're talking about productivity, right? Everybody's saying you need to get productivity up. And then you as an employee do not have the same goals as the employer does, right? So you want the least amount of work with the most amount of pay, and your employer wants the most amount of work with the least amount of pay. So the values do not align. And that's why they say, oh, you know, everybody and you know, this is kind of like my theory, everybody should get paid the same salary. And according to how the company performs, there's different levels of stock options, right? So if you work for a company and you're the janitor, you get paid $60,000 a year. If the company does well, you'll get a bonus and you'll get stock, right? And people say, oh, you know, the janitor shouldn't get a big paycheck, right? He shouldn't get that much money because he's not doing that much. And I disagree with that, because when the CEO goes to the bathroom and, you know, and he hosts other people at the company and the bathroom looks nice, that makes the company look nice. So everybody provides a certain amount of value, and it is very debatable who provides the most value, right? Yeah, the CEO can hold the last decisions and does all that, but I would not say that he is more valuable than a janitor, because it's just not like that. And look at the bathrooms at, like, you know, rest stops and how gross they are. And would you host clients that are going to pay you millions of dollars into a bathroom at a rest stop in the United States? I hardly doubt it. And so this is just not what you want to do. And this is not how the values align. So if you have a tiered system where, hey, the company makes money, the CEO gets a bonus between, you know, $500 to to, I don't know, $600,000, $700,000 in stock options every year, and the janitor gets, $50,000 to $60,000 in stock options if the company performs, and everybody gets the base salary, and everybody kind of gets, when the stock goes up, they all make more money, and if the stock goes down because there's mismanagement, that would entice people to actually care about the company, because the stuff, the company is on a forward track and a forward momentum, and you're not going to be, and you're kind of be enticed to show up and perform, and not to say, you know what, I'm just going to do a day in a life video on TikTok and not worry about it, right? So that would be one way how companies can restructure themselves and say, hey, instead of letting these people go, we'll put them on these stock options plans and compensation package, and make sure that they all get the same amount of value, and that their effort actually matters. And then by departments, they can say, hey, the department did great, we did all that, and now we're going to pay out the stock options. So everybody is enticed, is encouraged to do well. And if you're not worried about it, you still get your $60,000 a year, or maybe it's 100 or whatnot. And maybe, every tier up you get another $10,000 a year. But then, it is fair and transparent. So let me know what you think about this, because there's got to be some change where the CEO isn't going to fire people and say, the company's doing better now. We just let go of a few thousand people. Then, we're going to rent a $50 million private jet. We're going to lease it. And somebody actually also said that actually they should have put that into R&D and actually invested that money into their people and made them take courses and forward the employee. But the human aspect of working is kind of out the door now, as it seems, and it's going to come back and bite them. So when 1.6 million people are going to be let go, every month, at one point these people are going to say, you know what, I'm not going to do shit at work. So yeah, today I'm also going to take you guys on a ride into a super cute Swiss cafe. So I'm walking there right now in Zurich, and we're going to head out and take the car and see how it goes. So I'm gonna end this video right here. It was kind of a longer one. Hope you got still the same amount of value out of it. And I will see you at the bakery.
So we still gotta drive a little bit. So this is kind of off of Lake Zurich on the freeway paralleling the lake. It is super gorgeous day today. You see there's a little cloud. It's not raining today, so we're super blessed to actually have clear views of the Alps, and we're gonna show them to you in a little bit here. So the ride to the bakery is about 20 minutes. For Swiss people, that's like hella far. They would not do that just to get a bakery, because there's bakeries all over, but they have a special like pastries that they only do there, and they're so special, so we're gonna get those. And here's a better view of the Alps, and they're sure gorgeous. This is what people in the United States think about when they talk about Switzerland and not the big cities. So we're just about another 5-10 minutes out. These are the roads, freeway. It is not as fast as you can go. It's kind of limited by 120 kilometers per hour. So we are just tagging along as we're getting closer to the cafe. You can see the mountains, they're coming up. It is pretty gorgeous. And yeah, it is green because it rained all the freaking time, and that's kind of why I left. But yeah, we're gonna be in the cafe here in any minute. So we're just around the corner, and I'm gonna take you inside and see what they got. So okay, we are now inside. They don't really like filming, so I kind of had to hurry up because they do not like it. So these pastries are so good, and people come and buy these, and you take them home and you have them with cafe at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, or you just have them like that. They also have like semi-sandwiches. They put like gelatine over it just to make them look fancy. I like it. This is the view of the backyard cafe. It looks super cute. And yeah, it is gorgeous when you just see that side of Switzerland. And as a tourist, this is sure gorgeous. And it is amazing. So this is what I had. And yeah, we're about to head back, and this was it. This was my vlog style video. Thanks for watching, and like and subscribe.